The dark secret of the man who lost everything for looking like a dead empress in the small town of Elysium Falls. Whispers of a shocking transformation swept through every corner. The local diner buzzed with stories of Harvey Fletcher, a man who walked the fine line between life and death with a striking resemblance to the legendary Empress, once buried in a golden tomb. This wasn't just gossip, it was a phenomenon that had shocked the entire town. What drives a man into such a haunting reflection of beauty and tragedy? What dark secrets lurked beneath the surface of his alabaster skin and emerald green eyes, reminiscent of the dead royal? As clock hands ticked and shadows lengthened, residents noted the eerie calm that followed Harvey's presence. Some claimed that the air around him crackled with an unsettling energy, enough to send shivers down their spines. His mere presence struck fear and fascination in equal measure, causing both the curious and the terrified to take a step back. The occasional gust of wind would send chills through the crowd, as if even nature was aware of the gravity that surrounded the figure of that haunting likeness. People wouldn't just see Harvey, they felt him, a tightness in the chest, a lump in the throat while gazing at his porcelain features. They couldn't look away even if they wanted to. Tales floated around like ghosts, each a little more outrageous than the last. Some said he could summon spirits, while others insisted he knew the secret to immortality, an allure that spread like wildfire. The thrill of the unknown was intoxicating, drawing everyone deeper into Harvey's web of secrets. But beneath the surface of this enthralling narrative lay the raw pain of a man consuming himself in this life of shadows. Eyes that once sparkled with hope were now mirrors reflecting a solitude so deep, it echoed even in the loudest of rooms. And yet, amidst this swirling chaos, the question grew louder. What had he sacrificed? What terrible cost lay beneath the facade of ethereal beauty? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. Yet, as Harvey stood on that lonely street, the townsfolk couldn't ignore the mounting tension in the air. With heavy breaths, they waited for him to reveal the truth. His silent gaze seemed to promise it. But would they be ready for what they might discover? What if the secret of his transformation wasn't just about beauty, but a deep-rooted curse that could shatter everything they believed in? The dark edges of the unknown called to them, murmurings filling the air with an anticipation that hung thick enough to taste. Harvey stood still, the flickering streetlight casting erratic shadows across his face. The whispers of the townsfolk faded into a haunting silence as he felt their eyes drilling into him, each heartbeat echoing louder than the one before. He could sense their hunger for answers, but his soul bore weight that words couldn't lift. With every passing moment, the tightness in his chest grew. He had always been a man of secrets, but now, it felt like the very air conspired against him, surrounding him with questions that prickled at his skin. How had he come to this dreadful point? Harvey. A familiar voice broke through the tension. It was Lily, the only person who knew him before he transformed. You have to talk to them. Her eyes were wide, searching for a glimmer of the man she once knew. He faced her, his voice barely a whisper. And say what? That I'm a reflection of something cursed? That I traded my life for this face? The rage simmered beneath his cool facade. That's what they thought. The townsfolk only saw a ghostly image, a dead empress returned as a man. They didn't understand the bargains he had struck, the blood that lingered on his hands. A figure emerged from the crowd, a bold young woman whose curiosity often sparked chaos. Are you here to break the curse, Harvey? Or have you embraced it? She taunted, and gasps rippled through the crowd. He could feel their fear and fascination morph into ire. Was it because they feared the unknown, or was it something deeper? With each beat of their hearts, a symphony of doubt played as if the villagers sensed the darkness within him, feeding off it like vultures. "Get home, Jenna!" Lily shouted, but it was too late. The direct confrontation wielded a power of its own. Harvey's presence had drawn them toward the precipice of truth but now threatened to push them over the edge. Jenna stepped closer, her voice low but compelling. "What did you lose, Harvey? The Empress was beautiful but entombed. You roamed the earth, but at what cost?" The accusation hung in the air, slicing through the night like a cold breeze that made him shiver. Pain flickered in Harvey's emerald eyes. He had lost so much, but the price? It was far more than he had been willing to pay. The silence churned with undisguised heartbreak. The fear of being misunderstood pulsed within him. Lily reached for him, her touch gentle like a whisper, hoping to bridge the gap between them. "Tell them the truth, Harvey. They need to know." But what truth? He had tasted freedom once, in the carefree laughter of his youth. The laughter had been swallowed whole by an abyss of desperation. Closing his eyes, he searched his memory for the man he lost. A shadow smudged into the background of this twisted narrative. I can't," he began, but the words caught in his throat. The crowd's breath quickened in unison. They leaned in closer, anticipation dancing in their eyes. Then, like an electric shock, the ground trembled beneath them. Panic flashed as the streetlight flickered violently before exploding with a loud pop. Darkness enveloped Elysium Falls, a void swallowing the town's gasps. In that moment of chaos, Harvey made a decision. He would reveal the dark bargain he struck, a reflection of death that was not merely ornamental. As silence fell once more, hearts racing in the pitch black, he found his voice. "I'll tell you, but the truth may unleash a horror greater than you can imagine." And just like that, the mystery deepened. What horror awaited them? What secrets were tied to the image that haunted their nights? They were about to find out. The stillness of the night deepened around Harvey, nearly palpable in the air. The absence of light pushed his senses to the brink, and the weight of countless eyes in the darkness felt heavier than ever. He knew that what he was about to divulge wouldn't just shake their world, it would fracture it. "Are you ready?" Lily's voice trembled, a mixture of fear and faith. She knew he'd never spoken of his past, not even with her. He nodded slowly, gathering every ounce of courage hiding within him. The hushed crowd strained forward, breaths held, hearts teetering on the edge of revelation. From the shadows, whispers crackled through the air, darting in and out like bats in the dark. Harvey could sense their anticipation turning into apprehension. "I wasn't always this thing," he began, the words scraping against his throat. "Years ago, I was a different man. I had a life, a family, dreams. But darkness seeped into our lives, and I was faced with a choice." The town stood still, caught in the net of his voice. "I sought power," he continued, clenched fists trembling. "I craved something that would make me unbreakable. The power of the dead, the beauty of the Empress promised me strength in her reflection." A murmur rippled through the crowd, disbelief mixing with curiosity. "Everything I loved faded away, my wife, my children. The day I walked into that chamber to awaken the Empress was the last time I ever saw them. I thought I could keep them safe, but I was wrong." As he spoke, the air thickened with desperation, turning each word into a dagger. He glanced at Lily, who stood frozen, the memory of their life together hanging between them. "I didn't know what I was unleashing until it was too late," he confessed, raw anguish spilling from his heart. "I traded my soul for this cursed form." His voice grew stronger, confidence wrestling with regret. "But the power didn't come without consequences. The darkness inside me, it fed on sorrow, pain. And it grew hungry." The town's shock morphed into something darker, fear. They murmured among themselves, eyes wide with a mix of terror and understanding. "Jenna's words cut deep," he said. "I don't roam without a cost. Every time I wear this face, I feel the chains of loss tighten around me. Have you ever tasted despair? Suddenly, the wind howled, whipping around them as though the night itself had come alive. The lingering shadows cast out, and panic trickled in a fear that their own secrets might surface. Why should we believe you? A voice bellowed from somewhere in the dark, pregnant with skepticism. Harvey took a step forward, heart pounding. Because I'm not the only one cursed here, he asserted. Whatever horror I brought on myself, shut up. Another voice interjected, quaking with anger. You think you're the only one who has suffered? The tension escalated like a spark in dry grass. Fear clashed with outrage, the town on the verge of unraveling. Listen. Harvey's voice rose above the clamor, desperate. The darkness is not just within me, it's in this town. Whatever I unleashed, whatever cost I bore, it circles back to you all. With that, it felt like the ground beneath them quaked again, as if answering to his words. Shadows twisted and writhed, the temporal balance of Elysium Falls was shifting, clinging to the brink of an unspeakable truth. In that pivotal moment, the fear transformed into something deeper, a realization that they were not just witnesses, but participants in this disturbing tale. Harvey took a breath, gripping the edges of the unknown tightly. And if I don't confront the monster within, it will consume us all. With one last gasp of tension, the townsfolk found themselves caught between the desperation of hope and the suffocating grip of dread. As the night thickened and shadows crept closer, Harvey could feel the pulse of the darkness growing stronger, a reminder that perhaps the very thing that haunted him had also ensnared them. What would it take to sever the ties that bound them to this living nightmare? A single choice could change everything. Would they stand together or fall apart in the face of their own buried truths? The crowd shifted uneasily, murmurs swelling like a rising tide. Harvey's heart raced, each beat a reminder of what was at stake. He could sense the fear in their eyes, his own reflection of a heavy darkness. The wind howled louder, spiraling around them like a predator scenting its prey. What do you mean, it circles back to us? A woman called out, her voice breaking through the fog of terror. It was Marianne, known for her sharp tongue and an even sharper sense of justice. She stepped forward, defiantly standing against the shadows with her arms crossed, brows knitted. It means whatever evil was loosed when I awakened the Empress is now part of Elysium Falls, Harvey said, his voice tremulous yet fervent. It's intertwined with your hidden fears, your unspoken regrets, and the sins that fester in the corners of this place. It feeds on us all. The silence thickened, a blanket woven from anxiety and disbelief. Harvey felt the scrutiny of the crowd like a pack of wolves ready to pounce. Lily, vulnerable yet fierce beside him, cast a quiet glance, both an anchor and a storm. Then why haven't we seen it before? Asked a man from the back, chin raised defiantly. We've lived our lives day by day, unaware of this monster. You're just trying to scare us. Yes, someone else shouted, you want to shift the blame. You did this. The jagged tension split the air thin, echoes of indignation ricocheting against the trees, the crowd began to sway back and forth like a pendulum, teetering on the edge of unity and division. Fear had once brought them to the gathering, and now it threatened to tear them apart. I didn't mean for this, Harvey pleaded, desperation wrapping around his throat. I thought I could contain it, control it. But I was just a man chasing shadows. The Empress came with a price I couldn't fathom. The plans I had, they were filled with light, but I got lost in it. The ache in his chest tightened as he continued, vulnerability and rage bubbling over. You think my haunted face is a curse? It's living proof of a choice made in darkness, and now we all wear that mask in our own ways. Suddenly, a chilling scream cut through the darkness. A slender figure stumbled from the shadows, falling to her knees. Jenna, pale and wide-eyed, looked as though she had seen the very depths of hell. It's coming! She shrieked, shaking as tremors coursed through her body. It's reaching for us. We have to do something. Panic erupted like a broken dam. People pushed and pulled, caught in knots of fear and confusion. The soft whisper of night morphed into a cacophony of distress, drowning out clarity and hope. "Jenna, what do you mean?" Lily cried, hands shaking as she turned toward the girl. "The Empress," Jenna choked, gasping for breath. "Her spirit, it never really left. I saw her. She took something from me. She knows our secrets. It's hungry." Realization slapped Harvey across the face, every part of him screaming to take control. The crowd's restless energy twisted into a frenzy, their fears spilling into rumors, igniting a wildfire that could consume them. "Listen!" Harvey shouted, standing taller, voice echoing against the walls of dread. "We cannot give in. The Empress thrives on our despair. We must confront what we've hidden, face the darkness together. This is not just my curse, it's ours to bear." "But how?" Someone cried out, desperation lacing their tone. "Together," he pressed. "We must join forces to reclaim what we lost. This isn't just a fight against the darkness within me, it's all of us against the shadows stealing our lives." The winds howled in response, swirling around the town like a malignant spirit listening for their decision. Would they rally, or succumb? Was hope buried under years of silence, or could they drag it back into the light? As the whispers turned into shouts, uncertainty loomed like a dark cloud overhead. Harvey grasped Lily's hand tightly, feeling the warmth pulse through their shared fears of fleeting light in the encroaching dark. What was waiting to emerge, hidden in the dusty corners of their souls? As the town's collective heart thrashed, the next act would decide their fates. Would they confront their demons, or would the darkness consume them whole? The crowd surged like a stormy sea, waves of fear crashing against the shoreline of unity, and in that chaotic moment, a voice rose above it, a desperate, shaky plea that caught everyone off guard. It was Marianne again. "What if we asked ourselves, what is it that we are truly afraid of?" Her eyes flickered with a mixture of anger and vulnerability. "Is it really this Empress? Or the parts of ourselves we've buried, the darkness we refuse to acknowledge?" Harvey's gut tightened. They were standing on the edge of a precipice, staring into the abyss, talking as if it were a debate on a street corner. The wind whipped at their faces, and he could feel the tension simmering, the power that lay in honesty, but also the danger. "Marianne's right," Lily suddenly spoke up, her voice a beacon cutting through the blue-black dark. What if the Empress is us? What we hide from the world and even from ourselves?" The crowd stilled, the air thickening with possibility. A ripple of nervous glances passed among the gathered faces. Echoes of uncertainty resonated in the deepening night. Another voice interjected, breaking the spell. "You make it sound like we should open our veins for her. She'll devour us." "No." Harvey shot back, defiance sparking through his voice. "But hiding will only strengthen the curse." It was like standing in front of a wild fire, dancing flames licking at the air, daring him. "We need to dig deep, face the truth that lies within us." He scanned their faces, searching for signs of agreement. But doubt lingered, hanging like ice in the night. Finally, an older man stepped forward. "I lost my daughter when she was just a child," he said, voice thick with pain. "And I never forgave myself. She would be 15 now." His gaze bore into the ground, shame clinging to him like a shroud. The crowd shifted, the heaviness of regret settled into the stillness. One by one, the hidden burdens slowly began to surface like shadows rising from the earth. "I left my family for a job," muttered a woman, her breath quivering. "I thought I would provide for them. Instead, I lost them completely. I betrayed my best friend," another voice added, thick with remorse. "Over something so trivial. And now he's gone." Each confession rang out, a solemn drumbeat of vulnerability echoing against the night, many heads bowed in acknowledgement, tears glistening like flecks of shattered stars. Harvey could hardly breathe. The weight of their collective pain wrapped around him, fueled by the very darkness that created the Empress. The air crackled with energy, transforming from despair to something profound. Perhaps they weren't merely victims but participants in this macabre dance. Then Jenna, still trembling, raised her haunted eyes. "I felt her," she said, voice quaking. "She was in my dreams. She showed me faces, our faces. We can't hide anymore." The truth was like a bomb, detonating and sending vibrations throughout the gathering. Fear twisted into something sharp and fierce. The darkness had roots deep in their lives, regrets, memories never spoken. "Together, we must face what she knows," Harvey shouted, feeling the surge take hold. "If we can expose it, we can break free. We won't give her the power of our past." But just as sudden as the burst of hope ignited, a chilling howl roared from the edges of the forest, wrapping around them in a cold grip. The shadows themselves seemed to pulse, an ominous rhythm echoing the heartache they had laid bare. Something was out there, lurking, waiting for their moment of weakness. Fear turned to dread, slicing through the air like a knife. "Think about it," someone whispered, eyes wide in horror. "What if we're not ready to face what's coming?" Harvey's heart began thumping wildly again, but this time it was different. It was as if the shadows stirred, emboldened by their confessions and the raw unraveling of their souls. "Harvey, what do we do?" Lily's voice cut through the tension like a lifebuoy in turbulent waters. That he could feel the weight of their shared secrets and the encroaching terror loom over them. What could they do but brace themselves? But deep down, he fought against the encroaching panic. Was the darkness just waiting for them to falter? As the howl echoed one last time, a shimmering figure began to emerge from the trees, eerily outlined as it stepped into the light of the gathering. It was impossible to breathe. Because therein lay the embodiment of their darkest fears, and it was hungry. Could they summon the courage to confront it? Or were they already too late? The figure stepped closer, its form becoming clearer in the dim light. Ethereal and menacing, it wore a gown that flowed like liquid shadows, swirling around it as if the darkness itself were its fabric. The crowd gasped collectively, stepping back, fear painting their faces in pallid shades. "Do you know what lies within you?" The figure called, voice echoing like the tolling of a distant bell. It was an oddly familiar sound, a cold reminder of ghosts buried deep within. "You've unwrapped the gift of vulnerability, yet here I am, a reflection of your spirit's darkest secrets." Harvey felt the weight of its gaze, each piercing look stripping away the identities they had built, leaving only raw, trembling souls exposed. "What do you want from us?" he demanded, swallowing hard against the tightness in his throat, trying to muster all the courage he had left. "Not from you but through you," the entity responded smoothly. Its smile was unsettling, an uncanny mix of warmth and malice. "You unearth the truth, and I thrive on it. Every regret, every lie you've told yourself, those are my feast. Will you feed me, or will you silence the stirrings of your haunted past?" A chill raced down Harvey's spine. He could see others in the crowd contort, wrestling with their own internal battles, their eyes darting as if searching for a way out. He sensed fear swell like water behind a dam, ready to burst. "Look!" he urged them, voice rising to break through the suffocating tension. "This isn't just about us. It's about everyone. We can't let her win." But the shimmering figure laughed, a sound that seemed to vibrate the very ground beneath them. "Really? And what do you think will happen when you confront me? Do you believe you can escape unscathed?" The crowd was wavering now, doubt casting long shadows on their resolve. Then, like a spark igniting tinder, Jenna stepped forward. Her trembling hands clenched into fists at her sides. "I felt you in my dreams, and now I know you're just a product of our fears. The more we hide, the more powerful you become. You thrive on our darkness." The figure seemed to recoil, shimmering edges flickering like flames before gaining stability again. "Oh dear girl, you misunderstand. I do not simply seek to thrive, I am the unspoken truth, the reckoning waiting in the dark. To confront me is to come face to face with despair. Would that be such a terrible thing?" Harvey shouted, his voice breaking through the fog of fear. To know our pain is the only way to heal. You're no Empress, you're just a reflection of who we've chosen to ignore. The entity's form blanched, its bright eyes narrowing. The energy shifted around them, a tension crackling against their skin. For the first time, Harvey felt a flicker of possibility, hope resting against despair, just barely keeping the darkness at bay. In that charged moment, the earth trembled. The shadows began to coalesce and writhe as if wrestling among themselves, drawn into a chaotic dance, each movement a revelation of their inner turmoil. Then, with a low charge of thunderous rage, the figure lunged forward, as if drawn to the pulse of exposed emotions swirling in the air. "Face me!" It shrieked, and the sky itself contorted, darkening ominously as tendrils of shadow reached for the crowd, forming claw-like extensions, seeking out the deepest wounds of their souls. Harvey's heart raced as time seemed to freeze. The shadows danced more frenziedly, fed by the vulnerability laid bare before the beast. But suddenly, another scream pierced through the cacophony of madness, a chilling, gut-wrenching wail that echoed off the trees. It was followed by whispers from the depths of the crowd, names spilling out like fallen leaves, emotions threatening to drown them all. "Marcus! Anna! Hold on!" As silence flooded the air, the darkness momentarily paused, leaning in, intrigued to listen to the names of the lost. They had touched the roots of grief, and its power shifted. The looming beast hesitated as pieces of resolve began to unite. Harvey felt a surge of determination as he stepped forward, glancing at the faces beside him. "This is our moment. We won't allow her to devour us anymore." If they could bind their heartaches together, could they drive the darkness away? Or would they only draw it closer, feeding it in their fear? The answer lay just beyond the threshold of battle, teetering between hope and despair. The shadows coiled tighter, their dark fingers stretching towards the crowd, reaching for unhealed wounds. The air was electric, charged with a tension that felt as if the world itself held its breath. Each name whispered held weight, the memory of lost loved ones hung heavy between them. "Focus!" Harvey shouted. "Remember who we are. Together, we stand against her." He could feel the fear rippling in the crowd. The vulnerability was palpable, but so was the unyielding spirit of those around him. "Jenna, steadier now," addressed the entity. "You are nothing but the echoes of our own pain. We rise together, we can break this cycle." Her words hung defiantly in the air, a light against the encroaching night. The figure twisted, its menacing smile faltering for just a beat. "You dare challenge me?" It hissed, voice like ice. "I have consumed the hopeless. You are but crumbs on my path." But each pulse of determination from the crowd was a flash of light, igniting a chain reaction of rebellion. The whispers of lost names turned into a chant. "Marcus! Anna! We remember you. Your pain fuels us." The sound swelled, growing into an anthem that turned fear into fire. The figure's form flickered violently, caught off guard by the sheer force of their unified resolve. "You think this will empower you? Each name you call brings me strength. Then we'll give you strength." Harvey shouted back, heart pounding in his chest. "Let our pain fuel this fight. No more hiding, no more silence." He willed everyone's hearts together, feeling their energy intertwine. A glow began to emanate from the crowd, pushing back against the shadows. Faces that had once appeared haggard and broken now seemed alive, vibrant with hope. In that fleeting moment, a realization surged within Harvey: they were not just battling an entity. They were reclaiming their lives. He squeezed Jenna's hand, catching the fire reflecting in her eyes. "We're not feeding her. We're fighting back." The entity screamed, a sound so full of rage and disbelief that the very earth shook beneath them. Shadows writhed, lunging at those who stood resolute, but Harvey could see the light dancing against them, rising in strength, swallowing the tendrils whole. Each act of defiance, each confession of grief was like a punch in the entity's twisted gut. Suddenly, the figure lunged, but this time, its tentacles met the barricade of light conjured by their unity. "You think this is over?" It snarled, the edges of its shadowy form fracturing as the brightness tore through, but then, from the corner of his eye, Harvey noticed something aflicker, a hint of movement behind the entity. A figure, barely visible at first. Tall and regal-looking with a glimmer of silvery hair. It wavered like a mirage, flickering as if both there and not there. "What?" he whispered, confusion striking him at the sight. Was it a ghost? A trick of the shadows? The figure seemed almost familiar, wearing a gown that mirrored the entity's but with none of the malice. The darkness undeniably recoiled as this new presence stepped forth. "I am the memory of what you've lost, yet also the promise of renewal," the figure spoke, the voice melding soft warmth and fierce strength. "I come to help you." "Help us?" Jenna murmured, barely able to breathe against the tidal wave of emotions. "Listen!" Harvey shouted, turning back to rally the crowd. "We have to trust. Together." They rallied around the ethereal figure whose gentle light pushed against the consuming darkness, sparking new strength in the hearts gathered, the expression of the entity twisted in anger and disbelief. Its shrieks punctured the air, making it evident that the fight was far from over, but they now held the power of both their lost and their hope tightly in their grasp. As the ground pulsed beneath them, Harvey took a step forward, reaching for the light. "What must we do?" The answer teetered on the edge of revelation, the potential for both salvation and destruction crackling in the space between. Would they embrace the memory offered, or would they be tempted to turn away, risking everything? Once more, the fate of their souls danced dangerously on a blade, every heartbeat echoing as they prepared to face the truth that awaited them. The air was thick with anticipation as the radiant figure shone ever brighter, challenging the shadows that clung desperately to the crowd. Harvey stood at the forefront, pulse racing, eyes darting between the apparition and the entity yearning to consume them. "What must we do?" he repeated, his voice rising over the chaos, urgent and demanding. The figure held a hand out, the gesture exuding calmness in the storm. "You must remember the love behind the pain. Not just names, but the essence of those you've lost. Their laughter, their warmth, the light they brought into your lives. Each memory holds power. Remember," Jenna whispered, grappling with the enormity of it all. "It was never just about the loss, it was about what they gave us." With a newfound clarity, Harvey felt a surge of determination. "Everyone. Close your eyes. Focus on your memories." His words rang out, a guiding beacon as he, too, began to recall joyful moments, sandcastle days at the beach, silly dances in the living room, secrets shared under starry skies. The crowd hesitated but then followed, eyes fluttering shut as soft gasps and murmurs of remembrance filled the air. Each person began to weave together a tapestry of love, binding their hearts. Radiant colors formed in his mind, the sunlit yellows, the deep blues of the ocean, the warmth of touched hands. Every heart was forging a bond stronger than any shadow. As the collective memories ignited, Harvey felt the pull, the strange yet familiar warmth surged through him, merging seamlessly with the powerful essence coming from the figure. For each echo of laughter, their light intensified, and the darkness quivered in response, sinister and outmatched. "No!" the entity shrieked, its form flickering in thrall. Tendrils swiped aimlessly, desperate to snuff out the growing glow. As beams of light streamed from the crowd, shadows shrank back in anguish, revealing glimmers of forgotten joy hidden beneath. "Keep going!" Jenna shouted, her voice fervent, encouraging. "Remember. It's more than grief, it's love. It can overcome anything." In a moment of clarity, Harvey opened his eyes. "Let's not only remember, let's celebrate their lives. We stand for them." Inspiration struck like a bolt. "What if we share our biggest joy, our stories?" Faces lit up around him, realization dawned. One by one, they began to speak, stories spilling forth like a river breaking through a dam. Laughter mingled with tears as they shared the vibrant moments of their lost loved ones, creating a chorus of resilience. The entity writhed in agony, struggling against their unity. You believe these tales can defeat me? It howled, though its voice trembled. It's not just tales. Harvey called out as sweat beaded on his brow. Their essence lives within us. We are more than our grief, we are their legacy. As their voices blended into a singular anthem of love and remembrance, light exploded into the air. The shadows could no longer hold their ground, they fractured, splintering apart with each heartbeat. Each pulse from the crowd was a strike against the darkness, a reminder of what it meant to truly live, but just as victory felt tangible, a new chill snaked into the atmosphere. A snap, sharp and crackling, echoed as the figure behind the entity flickered uncertainly. The warm essence illuminated by the people suddenly faltered, causing whispers of doubt to creep in. What is happening? Someone gasped in horror, the air shifted, dark clouds rolling in as if to engulf all that light could not reach. Anxiety gripped Harvey's heart. Had they unleashed something else? In the depths of the shadows, a pair of eyes glimmered ominously, and a chilling laugh began to resonate, pulling from the corners of their collective memories. Fools, the entity shrieked, its form distorting into something sharper, more menacing. Do you really think you can remember your way out of this? Fear seared through Harvey as he realized they were not just battling shadows but an enemy that evolved with every story, every memory shared. What comes next? He whispered, dread flooding him. And deep within, hope flickered against despair, fighting to hold on. Would they rise to meet the dark, or would the shadows claim them for all time? As a blinding flash split the air, Harvey's heart pounded knowing they were standing on the precipice of something far larger than themselves. The battle had only just begun. The blinding flash hung in the air like a whispered promise of light before it died down, leaving only a stunned silence. Harvey blinked against the afterglow, his heart thundering in his chest. The shadows breathed heavily now, a suffocating weight pushing down like a fog. Around him, the crowd was frozen, eyes wide, expressions shifting from determination to stark realization. Jenna, a few feet to his left, faltered, her grip on an old memory slipping. The light that flowed from their collective stories dimmed. Shadowy forms howled in glee, lingering at the edges, licking at the diminishing glow with hunger. No, no, no. Harvey heard himself chant, panic clawing at his throat. Keep holding on. Remember. His voice was raw, breaking, but he pressed on. They feed on doubt. He realized, the truth that had been buried in his mind surfacing like a panicked fish. We must amplify our voices, our stories. Focus on the joy. We can't allow them to take that from us. Holding his breath, he looked around. Echoes of laughter, the camaraderie of shared experiences were fading. He could see it in the eyes of those around him. Some were already trembling under the weight of despair. A woman cried out, her voice shaky yet resolute. My brother. He loved sunsets. He would have danced beneath one today. She grasped the hands of the people beside her, a flicker of light born anew. Yes. Harvey shouted, buoyed by her courage. Keep speaking. We're not alone in this. One by one, voices broke through the shadows, memories resurfacing. A child's giggle, the aroma of fresh-baked cookies, the warmth of a grandmother's embrace. Each story was a lifeline thrown into the darkness, igniting forgotten flames, but the entity laughed again, a sinister sound echoing around them. You think those trite tales can shelter you? It sneered, its form twisting into grotesque shapes, each pulse of darkness aligning with their fears. Let me remind you of your sorrow, let me whisper your regrets. The air crackled as the shadows coiled, tightening like a noose. Dark figures began to address individuals by name, each one clawing at their deepest wounds: the loss of a child, a friendship betrayed, dreams dashed to dust. No! Harvey screamed, rage igniting in him once more. No more. We are not what you say. We are the love they left behind. With renewed vigor, he surged forward, voice cutting through the air like a knife. Let us name them. Every lost laugh, every cherished moment. Jenna joined him, anchoring those around them as they began to share their loved ones in tandem. My sister sang in the rain. My father taught me to fish. My friend had a smile that brightened my darkest days. The crowd rallied together, voices overlapping into a fervent crescendo of memories. The shadows recoiled again, thrashing, howling as the light began to surge once more, though the dark form remained daunting, yet doubt crawled back into Harvey's mind, whispering insidious questions. What if it wasn't enough? What if their memories and the light they held could be snuffed out like a candle's flame? In that moment of panic, a figure emerged from the shadows, a flicker of the same radiant essence. It was the apparition, flickering with uneasy energy. Heal, it urged, voice trembling but resolute. You must heal the pain, let it become part of your light, not your burden. The revelation hit Harvey like a punch to the gut. They weren't just fighting shadows, they needed to confront their pain head-on. It wasn't enough to remember the joy, they had to acknowledge the sorrow, to transform it into powerful fuel to burn brighter against the dark. But just as they began to comprehend the full weight of what was needed, the entity embraced them in suffocating darkness. Was it too late? Would the shadows drown out the brightness they desperately sought to claim? As the air thickened and heartbeat by heartbeat they remained suspended between light and dark, Harvey knew they had to act quickly. He could feel time slipping, a unique chance was waning, and with it, perhaps their only hope of salvation. What would they choose to do next? Would they become the light they needed to be, or remain trapped in the shadows of the past? The choice loomed heavily before them, a question echoing through time. Dust hung in the air, swirling in the dim light as the shadows lashed out, desperate to reclaim their hold. The tension in Elysium Falls reached a crescendo, hearts beating wildly, each pulse creating ripples of fear and hope. Harvey found himself standing at the epicenter of it all, feeling the weight of every soul around him. We must embrace all of it. His voice rang out, clear and forceful, cutting through the cacophony. Every bitter memory, every loss. Let it fuel us. The crowd hesitated, but a flicker of determination began to grow, igniting within them a fire previously dormant. Jenna stepped forward, her voice shaking but strong. My grandmother, she taught me to bake. The kitchen was always filled with laughter, even when times were tough. Those memories shaped my heart. As she spoke, the shadows around them momentarily recoiled, startled as light began to push back against the encroaching darkness. A ripple of recognition spread among the crowd, a shared understanding of the healing power of memory. Keep going. Harvey urged. Remember your pain. What aches in your heart? He felt alive, emboldened. A man, once quiet and unnoticed, stepped into the light. I lost my brother when I was too young to appreciate him. But I remember his laughter, the way he teased me. I won't let it fade. As he shared, others joined, voices intertwining, creating a tapestry of sorrow and joy. Each story added weight to their resolve, and every word was a thread woven into their collective power. Harvey fought against the darkness wrapping tighter around them. We are our memories. Together, we are so much more than our regrets. We are the laughter that echoes, the hands held our shared love. The figure in shadows snarled, a hissing sound reverberating through the air as it thrashed, desperate to withstand their harmony. You have nothing but weak hopes. It shrieked, but the crowd stood firm, emboldened by their pains laid bare. Love always wins. Jenna shouted, an anthem for the ages, and suddenly their voices burst into cohesive unity. They are still a part of us. We celebrate them today. We are not afraid. The shadows quaked, a fury rising as the glowing memories wrapped around them like a protective shroud. With each courageous confession, beams of light ripped through the gloom, revealing faces of lost loved ones, their smiles intertwined with their words. No. The entity bellowed. You can't best me. Let your sorrow consume you. I am the reflection of your fears. But the crowd roared back, collective strength amplified. We take back our light. The ethereal figure shimmered with a radiant glow, an embodiment of the resurrection they sought. Remember not just the pain, but the love, the joy. Rise up against the shadows that bind you. Together. In that charged moment, the shadows buckled, crushing against the brilliant force of their memories. Harvey felt the tears filling his eyes, not from despair, but from the overwhelming realization that they could conquer this curse together. With a final bellow, the entity lunged, but the light burst forth, dispelling the darkness like a dawn that chased away the night. Shimmering waves washed over the town, engulfing every corner of Elysium Falls, revealing the hidden strength in their shared struggles. The deep cuts of loss transformed into radiant healing, illuminating every part of their lives. As the last remnants of the darkness dissipated into nothingness, Harvey looked around, breaths unsteady but filled with joy. It was over. The price had been steep, but together, they forged a way to stitch their lives back together. The crowd erupted into cheers, tears mixing with laughter, friendships rekindled, love prevailing. "Thank you," Jenna whispered, looking up at Harvey, her eyes glistening with gratitude. "You reminded us that we're never truly lost as long as we hold on to each other." He nodded, feeling the weight of his burdens begin to lift. As the sun broke free from the horizon, painting the world in hues of gold, Harvey realized that the darkness they faced had not defined them, it had simply been a chapter in their stories, a necessary part of their journey. Standing with the townsfolk, hearts woven together in this tapestry of resilience, they faced a new dawn. They wouldn't stray too far from the shadows, they were aware of their presence now, but they also embraced the strength that lay in the light of their cherished memories. With a smile, Harvey finally felt free. As the crowd dispersed, laughter echoing, he took a deep breath, allowing hope to fill his lungs. They had sought the truth, faced it, and conquered the darkness. The shadows were still there, but they now understood their stories. Their lives overflowed with light, with love, and nothing could take that away. Now, it's your time to let your voice be heard. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Smash the like button now to feed the algorithm. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about the ending. Instantly share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. You need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait even one more second to share. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions. Let us keep this journey alive.